And as much as he enjoyed being in the mix, it wasn't just to be in the mix. It was to be constructive and productive as a senator.
Yeah, and he did work across the aisle a lot. I mean, he was consequential not just in terms of his foreign policy views and having real relationships with people like Zelensky, but also working with Democrats.
He did, and what I took out of this, not just at the funeral, but from the moment that he passed, is how many Democratic senators came out to say exactly that, that he was somebody that worked across the aisle, he was somebody that they could work with, he was hilarious, he always talked about people's personal lives, asked about their families. I remember the Gang of Eight, the immigration bill, he was critical in that. You know, we sadly couldn't take it across the finish line, but he was one who always talked about how this is something we needed to get done for the country.
I'll just say that as a Cub reporter covering John McCain's first presidential race in 1999-2000 on the Straight Talk Express, there were a few of us that had a permanent berth, and it was when we were in South Carolina and there were these two little children congressmen, Mark Sanford and Lindsey Graham. There were very few people that endorsed John McCain in 99-2000. George W. Bush had a juggernaut, but they were the two, and they were a trip. That was a long time ago. I had a lot of mileage on the Straight Talk Express since then, but that was absolutely a joy. And did you work for him?
I did. I was his campaign manager, communications director on his 2020 race. No better place than with Lindsey Graham on a campaign bus. Nonstop hilarity.
He is a very funny guy, and we were just running clips of him in his last meeting with Zelensky, and you see he's just the old Southern, and his personal story for people who don't know. His parents died when he was young, like 1920. He raised his sister, who now has the Senate seat. We're sending all our love to the family and friends of Senator Lindsey Graham today. Thank you so much for watching. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, and on the TikTok at Jake Tapper. You can follow the show on X and on Instagram at The Lead CNN. If you ever miss an episode of The Lead, you can watch the show on the CNN app. Aaron Burnett Out Front starts now. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Out front next, breaking news. The Senate voting right now to confirm Trump's pick for Director of National Intelligence, a man who repeatedly refused to say that Trump lost the 2020 election. Is that the reason why Trump wants Jay Clayton in the job? And more breaking news, the U.S. just intercepting what they say was a surprise attack from Iran on U.S. forces in the Middle East. New details this hour. And the Miracle Beach rescue, a teen lifeguard saves a young boy's life. Ferocious waves are churning over them. The man who captured the entire incident on film is our guest. Let's go out front. And good evening, I'm Aaron Burnett. Out front tonight, we begin with breaking news. We'll show you these live pictures from the Senate floor tonight. Trump's pick to be the nation's next top spy, Jay Clayton, is about to be officially confirmed. Now, he will squeak by, we expect, with only support from Republicans, in large part because of this confirmation hearing.
Do you deny that Joe Biden won the 2020 election?
Senator, I'm not an election denier. Joe Biden was certified as the president of the United States. I believe he had the most electoral votes.
So he won the election.
He followed our process, had the most electoral votes, was declared the winner, and
who has the most electoral votes? Is it the person that wins or the person that loses?
I think that's your characterization.
Who won the 2020 election?
I'm not going to do this with you.
Who won the 2020 election?
Like I said, I'm not going to get into that with you.
You refuse to answer a simple matter of fact about the 2020 election. Is that right?
No, that's not right.
Then answer the question. Who won the 2020 election?
I have answered the question.
Answer it. What is your answer?
I've given you my answer.
What is your answer? You refuse to answer a basic question about who won a presidential election, but you asked to lead America's intelligence community? Isn't it humiliating to be unable to answer this question, to have to indulge the president's delusions?
This is the person who will now oversee the United States of America's 18 intelligence agencies. And he was unable to say that Joe Biden won. He stuck with, I'm not an election denier. He said Joe Biden followed the process. He was certified. He kept saying it those ways, right? His words were so precisely chosen when really all he had to say is, yeah, we all know Joe Biden won. Can we just move on? But he's not able to say that. And those words matter because Clayton is taking over for the man that Trump put in as the acting DNI, Bill Pulte, who's a mortgage guy who has absolutely no intelligence experience. And there was no way he could even get Republican votes. He had no shot because he was not qualified. But when Trump named Pulte to the acting position, he told us the reason why.
He's a very smart guy, and he may find out some things about the rigged elections, et cetera, et cetera.
So it was about putting someone in to look at the quote-unquote rigged elections. Pulte today, right as Clayton's about to get the job, boasting about deep cuts he's made to the intelligence community. He just posted, we are this morning executing a fifth and near final round of all caps terminations, an approximately 30% staff reduction from weeks ago. The intelligence community must protect the American people, not the political whims of a bloated and corrupt elite class. Of course, though, Pulte's main role here has been to protect the president, who wants the DNI to be focused on, obsessed with election fraud conspiracies, just as he is. It's why Trump's first director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, spent months, overseeing 18 agencies when you've got an impending war with Iran, you have Ukraine war, you have China, you have Russia. But no, she was focused on election fraud. She even traveled personally to Georgia for an FBI search of a county election office. Trump, of course, has been focused on sowing doubt in elections past and future. And as more polls show that the Democrats have a widening advantage over Republicans on a generic ballot coming into the midterms, Trump is becoming more obsessed with the issue. Just yesterday, he asked the Supreme Court to allow him to cut back on mail-in ballots. He fired everyone on the Independent Election Assistance Commission, which provides election security support to states. It's the federal government providing states the ability to run secure elections. He got rid of them all. And he's relentlessly harassing his own party to pass what he calls the Save America Act. And they haven't done it because there are Republicans who say this election bill is way too restrictive.
You got to get the Save America Act passed. We have to pass the Save America Act to defend American elections. It's called the Save America Act. The Save America Act is the most important thing that we have. We have to pass the Save America Act to protect our sacred American elections.
Trump is focused on the midterms, and with every action, he is planting doubt in the outcome. Because if the outcome isn't good for his party, well, then it's easy to say it was rigged. There are, though, some who think Americans are not taking Trump seriously enough, even when you connect all of these dots. And one of them is a familiar face to many who watch this show, Charlemagne the God.
Why does it feel like we're being so nonchalant about what's going to happen during the midterms? Like, you can literally make a list of all the things the Trump administration is attempting to do to undermine the midterm elections, and it feels like we just, moonwalking right into it, like it's nothing.
Yeah. Moonwalking into it like it's nothing. Manu Raju is out front live on Capitol Hill. And Manu, you know what's interesting about this Jay Clayton thing that's happening as we speak, and I hear the alarms behind you for votes. Democrats at the beginning were saying, okay, we're open to Jay Clayton. He's a serious guy. He has a serious resume. We're open to this guy. But yet doesn't seem to be what we're seeing tonight. What are you hearing as the vote is now underway?
Yeah, this changed dramatically, Aaron, because the Democrats and Republicans really revolted when President Trump named Bill Pulte as the interim director of national intelligence, believing that he was acted as a political attack dog of sorts for the president and should not have that critical role overseeing the nation's intelligence apparatus. And they said Jay Clayton would be a good replacement, and they were actually speeding his nomination through. But things changed dramatically. One was because of President Trump and his incessant demands to pass that Save America Act to impose new voting restrictions, something that simply does not have the votes in the United States Senate. First, Trump pulled back that nomination much to the chagrin of many Republicans who wanted to get Clinton confirmed. And then that confirmation hearing, which you played those clips for, which he refused over and over again to say that Joe Biden actually won the 2020 election, then that caused a revolt among Democrats, which is why we are seeing this vote happening along party lines to get the next job of the Director of National Intelligence. We do expect Clayton to get the votes to be confirmed, but another big controversy looming all of this are critical surveillance powers used by the federal government that have expired amid all of this. And Democrats are telling me tonight, Aaron, that they will not agree at the moment to speed the renewal of those critical surveillance powers because they simply do not trust Jay Clayton. So while one controversy may be set aside for now, another controversy undoubtedly will unfold as Jay Clayton about to get the job as the next Director of National Intelligence. Aaron.
All right, Manu, thank you very much. And about to get that job, we're keeping these live images here as we're watching for that vote. I expect that could happen any second here. We can make that announcement. Everyone's here with me. So, Jamal, some Senate Democrats were open. As Manu was saying, they were open to supporting Clayton. That was very clear. Senator Mark Warner at one point said he had great respect for him, right? That's why I mentioned Jay Clayton's, legitimate and deep resume. But then there was those multiple exchanges where he said Joe Biden was certified, he followed the process. I'm not an election denier, but he never actually said it was a free and fair election or just simply, Joe Biden won. Was that why Democrats who were open to him turned?
Yeah, President Trump is such a corrupting force when it comes to how he expects the people who work for him to go along with the sort of fantasies that he creates about these things like elections and election denialism. And we are going to be trusted with the intelligence apparatus of the United States of America. All of us expect those people to be really serious. I mean, we've got big things at stake. You mentioned there's a war in Iran taking place. We're on the side of Ukraine versus Russia. Everybody's worried about what's happening with China. We got moms and dads and people all over the country who are saying, okay, well, we're going to trust you guys to manage this. But the president of the United States seems like he's only really focused on his own political power and even wants people in the intelligence community to focus on securing that, not necessarily securing the rest of us and making sure we're okay.
So, Paul, what is the message that it sends that Jay Clayton is going to be, and he is, we're waiting for the final tally here, right, but is going to be the head of all of America's 18 intelligence agencies?
Standards don't matter. Competency doesn't matter. Independence doesn't matter. Loyalty matters. And I think this is a really alarming moment that we shouldn't normalize. This comes on the back of all the tumult around Tulsi Gabbard, who was a Democrat, then an independent, then a Republican. She was against regime change wars and for regime change wars. She's sent down to attack elections on behalf of the FBI. Now we've got this guy who's never served in the intelligence community and refuses to accept the elections. I look at it through the prism of the hundreds of thousands of people in our intelligence community. We are at war. We are at war with Iran, and Trump wants to attack more places. We are under constant threat in the homeland. And the instability and the lack of basic competence really jeopardizes our national security, and I think has our enemies celebrating.
I mean, you have, Bill, just the context here of just one basic thing. When Paul refers to the war that, eight other countries that Trump has engaged in military conflict with, that there was a direct threat on the president's life on Air Force One just a few weeks ago where they had to switch the planes, okay? This is the level that we're operating at as a country with intelligence agencies right now. And yet the single most important thing to get the job to run them seems to be looking at an election 6 years ago that wasn't stolen and to say it's stolen. And in that context, the DNI, acting DNI, before Clayton's confirmed, it's still Bill Pulte tonight, posted that point. Good news, we're executing a fifth and near final round of terminations. The word choice is obviously pretty jarring. A 30% staff reduction from weeks ago. So a 30% staff reduction of weeks ago, which he refers to, is necessary because the people who work there are essentially there at the political whims of a bloated and corrupt elite class. What do you think is actually happening right now? And by the way, Bill Pulte, who oversaw this, has absolutely zero qualifications for this job to the extent that he had no Republican support either.
I mean, what's happening is you said Trump's looking back 6 years, and that's absolutely right. But of course, he's looking back 6 years in order to look forward to this November and to look forward to November 2028. What lesson did he learn from 2020? That you need to have loyalists running the key national security agencies of the government, justice, defense, the intelligence community, FBI, and that you need to have them in there shaping those agencies ahead of time so they can do what you want in the pinch. And the pinch for Trump in 2020 obviously was challenging the actual election results. They wouldn't go along, right? FBI wouldn't go along, CIA wouldn't go along, Bill Barr quit, the other people at Justice, as we learned in the January 6th committee hearing very dramatically, wouldn't go along. And Trump learned from that, and he's put in loyalists. He put in the first wave of loyalists kind of, were too flamboyant and screwed things up a little bit. Tulsi Gabbard and Kristi Noem at DHS and Pam Bondi at DOJ. But honestly, the second wave are just as radical in the sense that just as subservient to Trump, just as willing, I think, to go along with what he wants to do in 2026, but also 2028, and are probably more competent. Clayton, Blanche, Mullen. So yeah. I think it's all very worrisome about 2026. And incidentally, even if he can't do the stuff in 2026 a little harder in the off-year election, it lays the predicate, he'll complain about it, and then it lays the predicate for really going all in on trying to stay in power in 2028.
I'm curious about something Bill just said, Paul, and that is when he said, compared the first round, that you use the word flamboyant, but a lack of competence in some of these roles. That now you are putting people in who may be just as radical as Bill was saying, but are more competent, are more under the radar, perhaps, when it comes to management. Right? That you're not going to necessarily have the headlines, perhaps, or the giant blow up that you had with Kristi Noem with what went on in Minnesota, okay, with someone like Mark Wayne Mullen, as just one example. But does that make it more concerning?
Yes, because it's on strategy. And I think the loyalty piece that Bill touches on is so critical here. I always use Pete Hegseth as a reference point. He's way ahead of schedule in all of the culture war stuff he's implementing across the Pentagon. Imagine how much farther he'd be if he didn't screw up all the time. These are people who can operate below the radar, who aren't going to be in front of the cameras, who can execute Trump's strategy, which is most of all focused on the elections, because the elections are the circuit breaker. The elections are the most immediate threat to his power. I think Charlemagne is exactly right. We are moonwalking, sleepwalking into this November election like it's going to be on course. Trump's telegraphed his punches. He said he wants to undermine it. He says he wants to attack it. The Republicans are all in on it, and the Democrats can't stop it. So I think all of us should be vigilant in pushing back and calling attention to this, because I do think it's not just about elections and politics. It's about our national security. If we don't have safe and fair elections and we don't have accountability on a president, the next 2 years could look even worse than the last two.
Jamal, one of the worst headlines on all of this has been what came out of New Jersey a few days ago, that there were people went to get their driver's license. They said they weren't citizens, and so they checked that box, and then they got added to voter rolls anyway. Yeah. That's the kind of headline where maybe the headline should be, hey, they caught it, they fixed it, they're taking care of it, and should be. Sure. But there's also the headline of, oh, wow, that's bad, and is there more of that? Right? In the context that we're in now, that those seeds can fall on fertile ground. So now the New Jersey governor, Governor Mikey Sherrill, she's refusing to hand over those 6,600 names to the Department of Justice. She's saying, nope, that's a violation of privacy laws and state laws. Do you think she will prevail? And what do you think is going on here as to why the Trump administration wants those names? When New Jersey's saying we went through and are taking them off the rolls, we are taking care of the problem.
Yeah, there will be a fight about it, and we know the president will try to be punitive about it. He will look for ways to apply pressure to the governor of New Jersey to get her to hand it over. One thing that's very nerve-wracking about the SAVE Act, about all of this, is as if the president is trying to create a national voter registration list, a national list of Americans. And I think Americans, conservative Americans in particular, have really pushed back on anything like this for generations. Right. And now they've got a Republican president.
I mean, states' rights,
states' rights, and the idea of like a national ID, a national registry that all of us will be on, and the president of the United States can choose to allow people to vote or not allow people to vote, to get mail-in ballots or not get mail-in ballots, because that's part of the deal that the Postal Service will only deliver to people who are on the national registry. This is really concerning for everyone who worries about having a functioning democracy.
Well, as you point out, it's not a Democrat thing. It's actually a conservative thing, right? I mean, it's states' rights at its core, federalism. So, Bill, I will just a note here, Jay Clayton has been confirmed as DNI, so that vote is concluded. He will be the next DNI, as we said, and that is confirmed. The context here, when we look at the elections, though, is that poll after poll are now showing Democrats with an edge to flip the House, right? Those generic polls, as we say, generic Democrat, generic Republican, who wins? Fox came out with a poll the other day, had Democrats ahead 7 points, which was the biggest gap that either party has had in Fox News polling since 1996. So we're talking you have to go back 30 years to have that big of a lead for a party. In this case, it's the Democrats. So in that context, Speaker Johnson goes on and tells Republicans he actually thinks they're going to win. Not even like it's a tough fight, we're staying in it. They're going to win. Here's what he said.
We keep delivering. We're going to do that, run all the way through the tape towards the end of the year, to the end of the year. And I believe for this reason, we're going to win the midterms. I'm very bullish about the outcome. And we talk about it all the time. With each passing day, I'm more confident.
Okay, Bill, what do you think's going on there? Because do you really think that Speaker Johnson is really bullish and every day more confident?
No, some of this is just the normal, head of the party or senior person of the party, rah-rah about its chances. But I do think, one thing I think people haven't focused, I think in the blue, I was on a call today with some secretaries of state, actually, we're talking what they're doing. I think in states that are blue states, frankly, with Democratic governors and attorney generals and secretaries of state, little hard for the federal government to come in and do too much damage. They can do a lot. They can deter people from voting. They can scare people from voting. I think that there's going to be a ton of that, unfortunately, in the Latino community. But in the red states, where you have a governor, let's say Texas. What if on election night Tallarico's ahead by 0.3% of Paxton? Totally possible, right? And leave aside whether there's red wave, blue wave, early voting stuff, and just say that's what it looks like. President and the governor of Texas start saying, oh, a lot of fraud in inner city Houston and in the black areas of Houston and also in the Latino areas in South Texas. We've got to take over those ballots. We have evidence. We have complaints. Someone shows up, the MAGA person shows up and says, I saw someone doing something. You could have a real effort, I think, to steal a couple of Senate seats, steal some House seats from blue pockets in red states. I think that, and there it's harder to know what to do. I mean, I've talked to lawyers about it. They'll go to court, go to federal court, but you got a lot of stuff stacked up against you in the red states. So I think that's the immediate 2026, the scariest thing for me about 26. And then ultimately it's about 2028. This president and his top people, they do not want to leave the White House. I mean, they may personally leave and give it over to someone loyal to him, but they do not want another party coming in, someone from another party, or even a different kind of Republican coming in and turning over every rock to see what happened in 4 years of the Trump administration.
All right. I thank all of you. Thank you very much. And next, breaking news, a surprise attack from Iran. That is what the Defense Department is characterizing it as on U.S. forces in the Middle East. New details ahead. And the McConnell ultimatum. Kentucky's governor with a message for his state senator. Provide proof you can serve or resign. Senator Cory Booker weighs in. And the heart-stopping video of a 16-year-old lifeguard battling relentless waves, saving a 10-year-old boy's life. So what exactly happened and what happened after this moment? The man who saw it all and filmed this will be our guest.
Another day in the finance department. Wait, did we pay this already? 6070 airfares, 6040 meals and entertainment. Receipts, expense reports, invoices, purchase orders. What's that? RAM? Cards with built-in policies. Expenses that submit themselves? Look at it go. Okay, but does it code automatic? Oh. We're fixing the parts of finance you hate. RAM. Love finance. You could spend all night checking every receipt and coding every expense. Or you could let RAM do it. Close the books without the busy work. RAM. Love finance.
We need to do something. We need to save time.
I've got it.
What are you doing? We need to save time.
There.
What just happened?
I just saved time. By buying a car in Carvana. It was all online. Got pre-qualified instantly. Great terms. Oh, we need to get out of here.
What now?
Move those little legs. My car's getting delivered today! Save time and buy your car in Carvana.
Whether it's your future health, your future income, or your future happiness, Becoming an AARP member today can help. Join now for just $15 for your first year with automatic renewal and get a second membership free. Plus, you'll receive an insulated trunk organizer. Call or go online to join today, because the younger you are, the more you need AARP.
This is the mattress America has waited 250 years for, the Treasure Mattress. Consumer Reports recommended, crafted to deliver some serious Z's. With 8 layers of cooling comfort, support, and pressure relief for a deep restorative sleep. Plus, an 18-year warranty and over 1,000 5-star reviews, you know it's a smart choice.
Because the American dream can't happen unless we all get some serious American sleep.
Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
This Shark Week, we're teaming up with Ocean Conservancy to protect sharks and the ocean you love. Double your impact with a matching donation from Warner Brothers Discovery and visit our website to join the global conservation efforts. Shark Week, all this week at 8 on Discovery.
Business Translated, CNN Business.
I am giving away a room makeover. You ever have somebody come home with you from the hardware store? There's a catch, though. 3 days, you have no say in design, and we start today.
All new Crashers, Monday at 10 on HGTV.
Do you think that ICE should be abolished now?
What's the most important thing you want these lawmakers to know? There does seem to be a reckoning beginning to happen on Capitol Hill.
Inside Politics with Dana Bash, weekdays at noon on CNN.
Breaking news, a surprise attack. Iran launching multiple ballistic missiles at U.S. forces in the Middle East just moments ago. New video into CNN showing those missiles intercepted over Jordan. Remember, 3 U.S. troops were killed about a week ago by Iran striking a U.S. base in Jordan. Now, the U.S. military says it successfully intercepted what they are calling a surprise attack. But it comes as President Trump's claims today about the war in Iran are raising very serious questions about whether he really understands what's happening on the ground in Iran. For example, let's just start at the core of it all, the Strait of Hormuz. Here's what President Trump said today.
Iran doesn't control the strait. We control the strait. Now, they can drop a couple of mines in there and screw things up, but we control the strait.
Okay, first of all, Iran responded to that right away. An official writing, quote, if that is the case, why has he been unable to send even a single American boat through the strait since February 28th, 2026? If you dare, come near the Strait of Hormuz. Now, obviously, there's a lot of bluster in that, but there is also a truth, which is that the United States does not control the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran has essentially shut down this most crucial waterway for oil and gas shipments for the whole planet. I mean, yesterday, okay, so this is the thing. If the U.S. controlled the strait, right, ships would be going through it. That's true. And yesterday, 8 vessels made their way through the strait. 8. Okay, before the war, it was about 130 on average per day. So we're going from 130 to 8. That's not open. That is not controlling the strait. Okay, so that's a very serious issue. And the president also today doubled down on his threat to target Iran's bridges and power plants.
Yeah, I could take out most of their bridges in less than an hour. I could knock out the power plants.
Now, this is something that some of Trump's closest allies in Congress are calling out. Senator Jim Justice, he consistently votes with Trump, told the news website Notice, quote, I don't want anything to do with blowing up the bridge. And when you blow up the bridge, you're going to have civilian casualties for sure. Nobody wants that. Nobody in the world wants that. I mean, this is just a blatant truth spoken by Senator Justice. Now, deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure, like bridges and power plants, obviously could kill civilians. Out front now, General Ben Hodges and Farnaz Fasahi of the New York Times. General, let me just start with you here. I'm going to show you the new video that we're just getting in again of this Iranian missile interception over Jordan. The U.S. is saying this was a surprise attack. These were missiles coming towards a U.S. base there, and that they intercepted it. So they put the video out. They're calling it a surprise attack. They're announcing it right now. What do you think's happening here?
Well, Aaron, that's a very strange choice of words to say that we were somehow surprised while we've been at war with Iran now for several months. And certainly all of our air defenders and Air Force have been watching for just this kind of thing. So to characterize it as a surprise attack is strange. But it also reminds us that Iran still has a lot of capability, despite Secretary Hegseth and others claiming that Iran has been obliterated. And then it also makes you wonder why the Pentagon is characterizing or categorizing casualties that happened in Jordan before as if that's not connected to the war. Clearly, the Iranians don't see it the same way.
Right, and obviously this is part of the battlefield. And I do want to be clear. I said that the U.S. military put the video out. That is not what this video is. This video was from a source filmed from Syria over Jordanian skies. So, Farnaz, Trump is saying that, amidst all of this, Iran just really wants a deal. But now the U.S. is putting out this comment about a surprise attack by Iran, which is just worth emphasizing the wording, because when you're in the middle of a war and there's back and forth going on constantly, what defines a surprise, one thing being a surprise and another not being? What do you think is happening in Iran right now? Who is directing the response?
Mm-hmm. Well, Aaron, all along we've seen sort of the leadership of Iran and the Revolutionary Guards, which are really leading the charge, sort of, having divisions festering and playing out very publicly over whether or not Iran should concede to the United States, whether it should reach some sort of a ceasefire deal in this last round of attacks and, give up control of the Strait of Hormuz. And we've seen them turn down a ceasefire proposal by President Trump that Iraq took to Iran last week. The Omanis were just there trying to find some sort of a mutual agreeable agreement over how to manage the Strait of Hormuz. But Iran is now demonstrating that at least the hardliners within the regime that are very entrenched and are doubling down and saying it's our way or the highway are gaining the upper ground, because not only are they turning down ceasefire proposals, but they're also suddenly launching this attack on Jordan. And I have to say that even as an Iran watcher, I was a bit surprised. While it is true that the U.S. and Iran are at war, since Saturday night, the U.S. had paused its airstrikes on Iran. And up until now, Iran's attacks on U.S. bases were retaliation for American attacks or Israeli attacks. And tonight, they're sort of, attacking before being attacked. And it's a provocative move.
So, General Hodges, when you hear Trump say, we control the strait, and I could take out most of their bridges in less than an hour, right? Those are both quotes. What do you think about the commander-in-chief's, how he's handling it and his understanding, frankly, of the reality of the war?
Well, obviously what he's saying is disconnected from the reality of what's happening in the Strait. And Senator Justice is correct for the president to talk about destroying civilian infrastructure. Now you're putting pressure on the military, who would have to carry out what would likely be an illegal order. So I don't know who he listens to. I think he probably does not get a lot of candid analysis from the Secretary of Defense. I'm sure that if you were to put Admiral Cooper, the commander of U.S. Central Command, standing next to the president and ask him who controls the strait, of course, he would not say it was the United States. I mean, the control of the strait is determined basically by ships' captains and insurance companies if they're willing to send their cargo-laden ships through the strait or not. Right now, obviously, most of them are not.
All right. No, they're not. As we said, eight yesterday versus 130 on average per day prior to February 28th. I thank you both very much. And next, quote, no deal. Trump's pick for attorney general in serious jeopardy tonight after one Republican says the DOJ has been radio silent when it comes to his make or break demand. Plus, Trump reportedly saying RFK Jr. could be a failure if he doesn't try harder to prove a debunked link between vaccines and autism. The reporter who broke the story will be out front.
What our ancestors accomplished was nothing short of miraculous. But we don't talk about the hidden stories.
These histories together, they all made this country.
This Land, now streaming on the CNN app.
Every weeknight, we cover it all. From legal battles, at least one juror has now been excused, to political showdowns. How much you think that weighs on the president and all the conversations in between? Wayne from Washington. Wayne, what's your question? Will you take this all the way to the Supreme Court?
I'm not refuting a syllable of what you said.
What do you say to people who are looking to find their voice?
All the news. Laura Coates Live. Weeknights at 11 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Welcome to All There Is Live, a weekly live stream where I talk to others about grief and loss.
I don't think that I was ever prepared for loss.
And you can join the conversation too.
All There Is Live, now streaming at cnn.com/allthereis.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
He said that I'm the chosen one who'll set things right. But do we believe that guy?
That guy was you. We have a chance to fix the world.
You don't know what's out there.
I can't stay in this universe!
Oh, no, thank you.
What's your plan?
I don't really have one. I'm new to the action genre.
The issues that matter here are the issues that affect all of us. Join me live in Los Angeles for the latest stories and conversations as news breaks all around the world.
The Story Is with Alex Michelson. Weeknights on CNN.
What's happening in the arena? I'll bring you the latest from the players who are actually in the game. Because I want answers, and so do you.
The Arena with Casey Hunt, weekdays at 4 on CNN. And watch on the CNN app.
You are the worst butter churner!
Nobody churns butter better than me!
What a pleasure to be a part of such a historic occasion.
What a party!
What do you think I am?
You are the Queen of Dragons. Closer to gods than men. Show them you do not waver. And then we'll stand against us.
Stand your ground! There'll be no doubt who the gods have chosen to rule.
Decades in Sports, Sunday at 9 on CNN, and next day on the CNN app.
Hello, my toothy friend.
It's Shark Week, the greatest week in history.
I'm going to be jumping into a cage surrounded by sharks.
Shark Week, all week at 8 on Discovery.
4 powerhouse teams will take on the ultimate renovation competition.
We're ready
to turn these blank slates into amazing vacation destinations. The most winning season ever.
All new Renovation Resort Showdown, Wednesday at 9 on HGTV.
Breaking news, Todd Blanche's nomination to be Attorney General in serious jeopardy after the demand of 2 Republican senators has still not been met ahead of a key vote. One of those Republicans is Senator John Cornyn, and he tweeted, quote, "Fake news alert, there is no deal on Blanche nomination. They know what they have to do." And Cornyn just a couple moments ago told our Manu Raju that he will meet with Blanche tomorrow morning over his demand, along with Senator Tom Tillis, that the Justice Department formally kill President Trump's $1.8 billion a political slush fund, right? Money that was supposed to go to people that were supposedly wrongfully prosecuted by the government that could include January 6ers. Cornyn also threatened to postpone a key Judiciary Committee vote on Blanche's nomination until that demand is met. And that vote is set for Thursday, day after tomorrow. Out front now, Democratic Senator Cory Booker, a member of the Judiciary Committee. And Senator Booker, okay, you know the players, you're having conversations with them. So this whole thing could be dead, or it could be that tomorrow's morning's meeting, Blanche has said this whole thing is completely dead, it's gone, and that really goes in that direction. Where are we? Do you think this nomination is going to fall apart or not?
You know, look, they're looking for a deal. I think they're going to have no choice but to give it to them. I still have very low expectations of us blocking this, but I still have a lot of hope, and that's why I'm hoping more and more people will speak out about the objectionable nature of this nominee. But right now we're in a wait-and-see mode, but everything I can do to put pressure on the field, I'm doing it.
I'm also just curious because this fund, this $1.8 billion fund, early on in the Blanche nomination process, he had sort of said it was done, it was going away. And people, maybe some people believed him, but then it didn't go away, right? So if he comes and promises them that it's going away tomorrow, do you have any faith he'd keep the promise?
No, none whatsoever. And remember, there's two parts to that horrible slush fund deal. One is a slush fund for people that beat police officers nearly to death here in this building. And then the other one is this immunity, this amnesty for any tax cheating the president or his family members have done, which could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So this is something that stinks to high hell. And if you're going to just take the word of the president on this, then you don't understand that he has the record of any president, independent analyses for lying the most to the American people.
So when you come into votes like this, you come into some really big decisions in front of the Senate. It matters where everybody is, okay? And Senator Mitch McConnell's presence matters. He has not spoken publicly. It's been 44 days after he's been hospitalized, and he's released 2 photos of himself in a hospital bed, as you know. The Democratic governor of Kentucky has said, basically, I'm calling on you to directly and verbally address the people of Kentucky or resign. Do you agree with Beshear's demand at this point? And I know, of course, you have empathy for the senator and whatever he is going through, but do you agree with Beshear?
Look, I have empathy for him. I wish him the best in terms of his health. But Beshear is right that his state deserves 2 acting senators who can get the job done. And if this is something where he's not going to be returning to the job or is incapacitated and unable to do the job, then he is right to demand transparency and accountability. I think if they're hiding something, that is really undermining what the public will should be demanding.
Has anyone explained to you, because maybe you've talked to some of the senators who said they've spoken to Senator McConnell, has anyone given you an answer as to why, if he's able to talk to them on the phone, as they say he has, he can't post a video or call into a show or a podcast?
Yeah, no, none whatsoever, and that's very concerning.
Yeah. All right, you just walked out of a meeting with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Senator, and that meeting comes as Putin's under tremendous pressure economically from the drone strikes, and there's been a lot of chatter and reporting about his status. And I'm curious about what President Zelensky told you about Putin and how stable he thinks Putin's regime is, or how big this moment is.
Well, you know, he came to us with humility and candor, talking about the strength and the courage of the Ukrainian people and holding off these Russian assaults by Putin. He made very specific asks of us for continued support, understanding that this president we have seems to have backed away what is a bipartisan consensus that we should be standing with Ukraine in this fight for democracy. But I will tell you this, you're right, Putin is showing more and more weakness as Ukrainians grow in their capacity to hit further and further into Russia. The Russian economy is in shambles, and what I am hoping we do, and it's being discussed right now and it'll be debated soon on the Senate floor, is put even harsher sanctions on the Russians to make it more and more difficult for them to conduct this war, and more likely that we come to peace. And the last thing you got to remember is the Russians and the Iranians are working together. They have illicit financial agreements, and in fact, we know that the Iranians have been able to sell their oil during this war to the Russians. And so we should all be very concerned with what's going on, and this president showing a very weak stance against Putin's aggression.
Senator Booker, I appreciate your time, and thank you so much tonight.
Thank you very, very much.
And next, Trump stepping up the pressure to get RFK Jr. to prove and spend a whole lot of time investigating what is a false claim about vaccines. And the reporter who broke this story is next. Plus, the dramatic video of a lifeguard who risked his life to rescue a child who was being pulled into the ocean by massive waves and a riptide. The man who captured the video is next.
250 years ago, America broke from the British Empire. 18 years ago, I did the same. I traded my tartan for a flannel and my corgi for a bald eagle. Not great on walks, but majestic as hell.
American on Purpose, streaming now on the CNN app.
Bring your heritage, bring your culture, but bring an open mind, because it's America.
This great American story of adventure and exploration changed everything.
All of our ancestors made possible what we have today.
That sense of discovery is one of the best feelings in the world. Delicious.
I realize how nice it is to have the freedom that we have.
Caitlin Collins is your DC source, bringing you unprecedented access to the White House,
What would you say to the survivors who feel like they haven't gotten justice?
Capitol Hill,
What does re-examining that look like? Are you saying that that's not going to happen? What exactly are your day-to-day responsibilities?
and beyond.
And good evening from Davos, Switzerland, where President Trump just capped off a whirlwind trip. You were obviously named by President Trump.
For in-depth political coverage and analysis, watch The Source, weeknights at 9 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Watch The Lead, weekdays at 5 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
I get to call someone I've looked up to a colleague.
We're two former White House correspondents with a tireless work ethic.
We're ready for whatever comes our way.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer and Pamela Brown, weekday mornings at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
It's showtime.
Get over here!
It's fun to be dead.
This is walk or die.
I wonder who's next.
Whoa!
A high-stakes showdown in Michigan's fierce Democratic Senate race. Progressives and moderates battle for power. Who will come out on top? Join CNN for results and analysis. Michigan primary, August 4th on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Johnny Cage, you have been chosen to fight.
It's showtime.
Get over here!
So you like to fight?
You can make a stand! Let him fight!
Go, go, go!
Let's do it!
So you like to fight?
You are the Queen of Dragons. Show them you do not waver, and then will stand against us.
Have you betrayed your queen?
Royal Fever, Why America Can't Quit the Crown. Now streaming on CNN.
We protect the world from magic.
I'm not scared of kids' bedtime story.
You should be.
This is a toxic work environment.
The Librarians, two-night premiere event starts Sunday at 9 on TNT.
The CNN Weather app. Get weather updates from a name you trust. Stay a step ahead with fast, reliable data, interactive radar, and live video coverage when you need it most. The future of forecasting is here. Download CNN Weather today.
Services Secretary Rob at his Virginia club, demanding to know why he was doing more to probe the unfounded connection between childhood vaccines and autism. Now, Trump told Kennedy that the health secretary apparently has the quote-unquote yips over the issue. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Trump is telling aides that RFK Jr. will be a failure if he doesn't intensify his push to link vaccines with autism. Now, vaccines and autism are not linked. That has been scientifically disproven. Out front now, Liz Esley White, the Wall Street Journal reporter who broke this story. So, Liz, you know, this is just kind of incredible to imagine this. So they're at the golf club, and it's Trump and RFK Jr., and there's this interaction. Can you tell us what you learned happened?
Yeah, what we heard from sources is that Kennedy was taken aback because he had been told by White House aides that polling showed the vaccine actions he had taken over the past year were not popular, and he needed to focus on food and agriculture and other messages that were doing better with voters in polls. And so he was surprised that the president was talking in this manner. And this has become a repeated kind of ongoing point of tension in their relationship, their otherwise good relationship. In a mid-June meeting in the Oval Office, Trump came back to this and vented his frustration that there wasn't more being done.
Okay, so you're saying that this keeps coming back to this, that Trump, the words you're using, that he's venting, that, you know, he keeps pounding the table on the specific thing between vaccines and autism. Again, this has been scientifically disproven, but why? Why is Trump spending so much time on this?
This is something that the president has actually been musing about and talking about for years. In the 2000s, he gave and fundraised for nonprofits that linked vaccines and autism. He posted a tweet about this back before he was president for the first time. He's long been interested in a connection here, and especially he's very fixated on the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccine, which has probably been studied the most on whether it has anything to do with autism. And it's something he just keeps coming back to.
Right, the MMR vaccine, and as we know that you know, a link has been scientifically disproven. The original paper that suggested it was scientifically deeply remiss and fraudulent. So Paul Offit is the director of the Vaccine Education Center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. He told us today, Liz, and I told him I was going to talk to you. He told us, quote, in 2025, we had more measles cases than we've had in more than 30 years. We had the first child deaths from measles in this country since 2003. We've seen increases in whooping cough, tetanus, and flu deaths among children. This is all because people are choosing not to vaccinate their children. I mean, this is a stunning thing. It's all preventable. Trump obviously seems okay with this. Do you get the sense that he understands what's happening?
We know that in the first Trump administration, the president had advisors who, when he would kind of go down this path, they would steer him away and say, that's not really the case, that's not what the science shows. Those same people are not in his ear anymore. And so I don't think he's necessarily thinking about, you know, what are some third-order consequences of changing the vaccine schedule. He's very interested in, you know, putting all the chips on the table to see whether he can see autism rates drop if he changes the vaccine schedule, which is, you know, alarming to scientists.
Very alarming, because if you want autism levels to drop, you'd want to try to figure out something that could cause them to drop, and a vaccine that's not related to autism wouldn't be the way. All right, Liz, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Really
Thanks for having
reporting. Me. And next, a lifeguard being hailed a hero tonight after saving a boy who was getting dragged out to sea. The man who captured that video is next.
Another day in the finance department. Wait, did we pay this already? 6070 airfare, 6040 meals and entertainment. Receipts, expense reports, invoices, purchase orders. What's that? RAM? Cards with built-in policies. Expenses that submit themselves? Look at it go. Okay, but does it code automatic? Oh. We're fixing the parts of finance you hate. RAM. Love finance.
Let's invite others to the party.
Engagement Party. New episodes now streaming on the CNN app.
Aaron Burnett out front. Weeknights at 7 on CNN. And watch on the CNN app.
I'm Zendaya. I play Rue, and we are here for the Euphoria premiere. What if he could go back to the beginning?
Oh no, I'm gonna cry.
The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper, Emmy winner for Outstanding Recorded News Program. This week, Donnie O'Sullivan dives into the world of the progressive left.
Are you concerned that you might end up hurting the Democrats in a general election?
The Whole Story with Anderson Cooper, Sunday at 8 on CNN.
In a divided America,
where do I fit?
You tell me, ask your party.
Abby Phillip brings all sides to the table.
I hear what you're saying Trump believes in, but do you think it's a good idea?
Newsnight with Abby Phillip, weeknights at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
The news is better.
We are in the toilet.
Together.
Hey, how do you think I feel?
The Have I Got News for You crew is back to keep you safe.
Do you think anyone here knows what you're talking about?
No.
New season premieres September 12th on CNN and next day on the CNN app.
30 seconds.
Wake up.
Breaking overnight.
Catch up.
New details and more questions.
Start your mornings here.
This is a pivotal week.
CNN News Central. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on CNN and watch at 8 on the CNN app.
Weeknights on CNN.
Tonight on 316.
The stories that matter.
This whole area is just engulfed in flames.
From a trusted voice.
We witnessed something nobody alive has ever seen before. You've said that AI could wipe out half of all entry-level jobs. How soon might that happen?
A fearless eyewitness.
We've just gotten a red alert to go down to the bomb shelter.
Every night makes sense of the world. Anderson Cooper 360. Weeknights at 8 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
Tonight, a life miraculously saved and the rescue all caught on camera. A brave 16-year-old lifeguard, you see him here, fearlessly battled monster waves in Santa Cruz, California, saving a young boy's life. The teen dove into the churning and foaming breaks and grabbed onto the 10-year-old boy. And then the lifeguard held on, even as the pair were crushed and held under the waves by both the breaks and the current. So the lifeguard fights his way toward shore. That's when another lifeguard was finally able to jump in to help. They got the 10-year-old child to shore and saved his life. Out front now, Scott Vanderdusen, the man who filmed this, captured this entire rescue on video. And Scott, for you, this was something you do every day, as in walk along this beach. But then suddenly you pull out your phone. When did you first notice something had gone horribly wrong?
Yeah, that's right. Aaron, thanks for having me on. I live right here on the beach, and I'm a bit of a hobbyist in photography. So it's actually a full-size professional camera that I had. And that's what allowed me to get the shot, because I was a ways away. It was about 200 yards out. And that was a normal day, normal cadence of waves, and a sneaker wave came in. And just the sound of it crashing made me look up. And the foam that was left behind was white. And I could see this white dot that was the young man's head just getting pulled, sucked right back out to the ocean. And so my first thought was his safety. I ran to the closest lifeguard tower. Another gentleman saw the same thing, and so we both arrived at the same time to alert the lifeguard. He then radioed a closer tower who was already alerted, already saw the situation, and that was the lifeguard that we see responding. He was already en route to help the young man. So that's when I turned my camera on, pointed at the action, and captured the rescue.
Now, you know, when you talk about running to the lifeguard tower and they radioed to the other one, and that they said, well, look, there's someone's already on his way. And that someone was a 16-year-old lifeguard who you actually know personally. You say this is his first year lifeguarding. Now, I want to point out, you just told me a moment ago before we started talking that you couldn't tell from a distance that you knew him, right? So at the moment that you're filming, you don't know that you know this lifeguard. But can you tell us about him? I mean, this is just incredible. This is the first year that he's been a lifeguard.
Yeah, correct. I did get to know the lifeguard just by walking by. I got to know this particular gentleman after the incident. And I know that he's a water polo player, that he's a surfer. He is his first year. He's 16 years old, rookie there in the lifeguards, but lots of training, and he did phenomenal in the water. It's impressive to see, you know, the moments that he's not moving at all, the rip current's going back and it's fighting against him. If he had expended any energy trying to go back towards shore, that would have been wasted and futile. He knew when to stand, how to let the waves break over him by leaning into them, and then when to take that opportunity to make forward progress towards the shore.
And you do see him there, as you put that description on it, when he stands and when he does try to go under that incoming follow-on wave. Was there a moment, as you're watching this, Scott, that you thought that this was going to have a terrible and tragic end?
Oh, absolutely. When I first saw the young boy being pulled out, I didn't know if a rescue would be possible. And the lifeguard just fearlessly charged into those giant waves. Unfortunately, the first couple seconds of that was missed because we were still talking to the lifeguard hut that was next to us and the video. But yeah, he just charged right in there. And even looking through the viewfinder and seeing the lifeguards pulling him back onto shore, the body is limp. He's lethargic. There's no energy in there. I didn't know how it turned out until they got him on